Alright team, it's been a hot minute, but we are back now. Sorry about the long intermission on the YouTube channel. Look, a few things have been happening with life and we've had to deal with them. So that's what we've been doing. YouTube's just had to go on the back burner and take a bit of a break for a while. But that's okay, we're back now, so time to start delivering content again. I'm looking forward to getting back into delivering a lot of content to you guys. We're opening back up. For my viewers that don't understand, in New South Wales we've been in a strict lockdown for probably the past 3-4 months. It's been tough. I've only been able to fish a small stretch of water. I've been pretty fortunate to be in a position where I could do that. But anyway, that's the way of the world at the moment. A lot of people had it a lot tougher than me. So anyway, we're back into producing content. This video is just going to be about the rods and reels that I use in my system and what I think may be productive for someone who's starting out in the fishing game to use in their system. Now, the system that I fish is Sydney Harbour, and you get a nice range of creeks and estuaries out to large bays, to large harbour movements, all the way out to the heads, and then you have the offshore. I have a rod and a reel that accommodates to nearly every part of that environment. So if you're looking at getting into fishing and you're in Sydney or you're along the east coast of Australia, hopefully some of these bits of kit can help you out. I'll show you what they are and why I use them. First up, we got the Atomic Arrows Brim surface rod. It's an ASS 270BS, whatever that means. Now, it is a 7-foot, 2 to 12 gram lure weight and 3 to 8 pound line. Essentially, I'm not going to get too technical on this stuff. I'm just going to tell you about this gear, how I use it. And that's paired up with a Shimano CI4 Stratic 1000 size reel, and that is running 6 pound Berkeley X9 silly string. So very light braid. I usually have that paired up with like a 5 pound leader. This rod is a very soft rod. It doesn't take very much to bend it over at all, and you get a lot of feedback through the tip all the way down into the handle, and you find that when you strike a fish, the rod takes the load all the way down to the lower section of the rod here. I'm at a loss for words as to whether it's fast or slow action. I think it's slow action, but anyway, I use this setup mostly for cranking and surface brim. So at the moment I've even got a little pro lure crankbait, and I find the soft tip really shows its strengths with those crankbaits. I can feel everything as the crankbait kind of bounces off the terrain. The way that I use those crankbaits is I throw them hard up against structure, up onto rocks and whatnot, and I bounce them off that kind of terrain. I also fish surface with this rod just because it's really got quite a lot of wiggle up in the tip. I'm not moving that very much. I find that I can really flick those lures along the surface of the water. Next up in the arsenal is this rod that's new to the family, and it really is a kind of jack of all trades rod, this one. This is the Daiwa TD Hyper 7'2" ultralight XS. It's a 1 to 2 kilo rod. Very similar to the Arrows, except it's quite a bit stronger through this lower section down here, and a bit stiffer up the top. Now, this is the rod that I use for throwing soft plastics. I've even got a little 2-inch whole prawn on there at the moment, and I usually throw around a 1/8 size, anything from 1/8 to 1/20. I tend to find with this rod that it really does pick up the subtle differences. It's good for throwing crankbaits, but it's not as good as the Atomic. Now, I've got that paired up with a 2500 2021 Daiwa frames, and that's got 8 pound J-Break Grand on there. It is more multi-purpose than the Arrows. It can do what the Arrows does, just not with the same feeling and finesse. The Arrows, I can even throw surface for whiting, and you know, really work those surface lures quite quick along the top. I could do that with this, but I'm not going to feel and load the rod up with as much accuracy as I could the Arrows, if that makes sense. However, I'd be much more inclined to tackle a bigger fish on this rod. You know, I'd even be game to take on something like a Rat King on this rod. It's got a surprising amount of backbone for a 1 to 2 kilo rod, and yeah, it's actually a really good all-rounder. If you're looking at getting into fishing, this setup itself cost me, with everything, about 350 bucks. And it will do everything. It'll catch your bread and butter species. It'll throw those soft plastics. It will throw those cranks. It really is the jack of all trades if you're just starting out. That 2500 size, 1 to 2 kilo rod. The rod's pretty cheap and it has quite a nice feel for something like around the $100 mark for the rod. So definitely do recommend that rod and reel setup. So here we have the flagship of the fleet. I bought this rod and reel because I wanted something that was really special to fish with and felt amazing to fish with. And that's exactly what this is. This is the Team Daiwa Commander 2 to 4 kilo Ocelot, and that is paired up with the 2020 Luvius. I got an amazing deal on this rod and reel down at Otto's Tackle World. Those guys have looked after me so much and have always given me great advice. I'm not sponsored by them, I just think they're great. Anyway, this weighs nothing and is probably, you know, I could confidently use this rod and reel setup for snapper fishing. This tiny little reel, it's a 3000, which is effectively a 2500 with a bigger spool on it. I've pulled in big fish with this rod and reel, and it's a 2 to 4 kilo rod. There is so much backbone in this lower section down here. I've pulled in countless salmon with this rod and reel, big jewfish, and I really rate it. If you are looking to spend the kind of money to get an all-rounder and you want something that's really going to be heavier but still have the finesse to do all of the light work as well, and you want to spend a bit of money, I wouldn't look any further than this. This has the ability to do the finesse work of the lighter gear, yet it's still got a hell of a lot of guts when it comes to bigger fish. You can throw big sugar pens a long way with it. I'm just absolutely baffled by how good this rod and reel setup is. So yeah, it's this one's actually a 7'4". I can't speak higher of the Commander rods. I think they're fantastic. Great for dewies, great for flatties. Any of those kind of inshore species that you get, this will be able to handle it. Yeah. So then we move into a slightly heavier realm. Only marginally, but nonetheless, I'll just take this off here. Here we have the Team Daiwa Zero rod. Now this is on a 4 to 10 kilo rod, 2.24 meters, cast weight 5 to 12 grams. This rod is just that, it's quite a strong rod. Still got a nice bit of sensitivity through the tip, but this is the setup that I use for snapper. You would have seen me catch my, it was a Mac tuna. Yeah, big Mac tuna. It's called Big Bonito. Lots of those kind of inshore pelagics, but I also do take this offshore. That's a Certate 3012 high speed, and I've got that paired up with J-Braid J-Braid Grand 20 pound. Yeah, this is if I know I'm going offshore for the day, I'll take this with me along with that Commander, and they'll kind of be the two snapper rods that I use for the day. plenty of drag on this reel. I think this isn't quite as heavy in drag as the Luvius. However, the way that it applies that drag is quite different. It's a lot smoother, and when I say smoother, its way in how it delivers its drag is quite different as opposed to the Luvius. Yeah, smooth reel, great rod, can tackle a lot, can do some of the lighter stuff, but I wouldn't really go recommending it. If I was talking to anyone that was getting into fishing for the first time, yeah, and they didn't want to spend oodles of money, you can't really go past this setup here. You know, 350 bucks, it's gonna serve you well for a long time. Kayak fishing, you could tackle a Jew on this, that 8 pounds pretty universal. But if you wanted to spend the money, then I'd move up to the Luvius and the Commander combo. Anyway, the weather at the moment is absolute shite out on the water, and I am sorry that I have been out of action for a while, but life's just been happening, so it is what it is. We're going to get back into it. We've got a lot of trips planned for summer. We're going to be going up to a lot of impoundment dams, chasing bass, go up the coast, chase some snapper, and we're going to be doing it all with friends, doing lots of videos and getting lots of content to you guys. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well through the lockdown, and freedom's coming soon, so hang in there guys. Hopefully you're all getting on to fish pretty soon. Hope you're all doing well. Take care of yourselves, eh?